Good morning. I'm here to teach you 6 fundamental canoe strokes. The first stroke that we're going to start with is the forward stroke. To examine the forward stroke and how we're going to do it, first of all, we need to look at the position that we're in while sitting in the canoe. As you can see, I'm sitting with my back and my head nicely aligned, very straight. My torso is engaged and my chest is out. The reason for this is this gives us maximum strength and mobility whilst paddling. Second of all, I'd like us to have a look at the grip, the way in which we're holding the paddle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I've got my hand, which is my top hand, on top of the T grip, and my thumb is going to underlock like so. My bottom hand is gripped in a wide grip, and what that means is that when I hold my arms up like this, you can see that my elbows are making a right angle. My bottom hand is also close to the throat or the bottom of the paddle blade. The reason for this is going to give us maximum power and strength when we're driving through our stroke. So now that we've examined our posture and the grip in which we hold the paddle, now we're going to look at how to perform the forward stroke. So first of all, we are going to extend our bottom arm out nice and straight. Our top hand is directly in front of our head, and we are going to participate in 3 phases of a canoe stroke. The first phase being the catch phase. I'm going to extend the blade of the paddle as far forward as I can next to the gunnel, which is the side of the boat. And in that sense, my top hand is also in front of my head as well. Then we are going to participate in the power phase. And what that means is putting the blade of the paddle in the water and drawing the blade back towards the bow or the back of the boat. Then we're going to participate in the retrieving phase, which means bringing the blade out and across horizontal to the water, in which you then extend your bottom arm all the way straight again beside the gunnel of your canoe, and then once again drag back like so. I'm going to show you what that now looks like. So, catch phase, blade goes in, submerged, under the water, pulling the water back to the stern. Retrieve phase, bringing the blade parallel, then once again, power, retrieve, catch, power. Thank you very much. That is the forward stroke. G'day. So we're going to move on to the second of our fundamental forward strokes. I've just shown you how to do a forward stroke. The second stroke incorporates the forward stroke, but also has an additional part to the end of the stroke. This stroke is called a J stroke. So as I've explained before, we're going to do our catch phase. Bottom arm is nice and straight. Top hand has the T grip essentially in front of our head, as you can see like this. Bottom hand holding on nice and tight. We're going to go for catch phase, reaching forward with the blade of the paddle, power phase, and then at the end, what makes it a J stroke is I'm actually using my top hand and my wrist to turn the top of the T grip down. So you can see here I'm holding the T grip like so, and when I'm at the back end of my stroke, I use almost my thumb and my wrist to turn the T grip down like so, which then changes the pitch of the paddle. The reason for this is diverting the water back and away, which is used in order to straighten up our boat. So I'd like to show you now what the J stroke looks like. So, catch phase, blade of the paddle goes into the water, and then we essentially twist our wrist, and with our bottom hand, we are pushing out and away, like so. So catch phase, power phase, and J stroke. So you can see the motion is going down, and then at the end we are doing a bottom curl on the end, which looks like the letter J. So once again, catch phase, blade in the water, twist down with that top hand, twisting the T grip down, and then pushing out, and then we retrieve just the same way as a forward stroke. So once again, just looking and watching what the paddle's doing. Pushing out and away. Catch phase, blade is in the water, blade comes out and away, retrieve, reach forward. So this should be a very smooth and seamless stroke. There you go, that's the J stroke. Thanks very much. Welcome back. So now we've gone through the forward stroke and the J stroke. What we're going to move on to now is two types of sweep stroke. We've got a forward sweep and a reverse sweep stroke. So I'm just keeping us on line here. So what we're going to look at first of all is the forward sweep. Where this differs from the previous two strokes is that I'm actually going to hold my paddle in a medium grip or even a short grip, and that's going to give me more leverage. I'm also holding the paddle horizontal. So previous two strokes, the shaft of the paddle was more vertical. Now it's going to be more horizontal. Once again, for the forward stroke, bottom hand is reaching out nice and straight in line with the gunnel. Now, as you can see, the blade, instead of being vertical like so, is more horizontal. And we are going to reach forward, and then we are going to bring the blade all the way to the back of the bow. Okay, so what that's going to look like in the water, I'll give us a little bit of room here, is reaching out with the bottom hand, top hand once again, firm grip on the T grip. You can see shaft of the paddle is horizontal, and reaching nice and forward, blade goes in, sweeps all the way back to the bow of the boat. Once again, catch phase, power phase, and retrieve phase. If done correctly, this will move the front of the boat to the right hand side. Once again, in, to the back, like so. That is the forward sweep. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the reverse sweep. Once again, very much the same grip, so a medium grip, so the bottom hand's not right up against the throat, but moved more towards the T grip, as you can see, and my top hand firmly gripped on the T. Now, blade is, as well as the shaft, is horizontal instead of vertical, so we've got a horizontal. Now, reverse is when we're going to reach behind us, as opposed to the forward stroke where we were reaching forward in front of us. We're going to reach behind us and essentially do the opposite motion to what the forward stroke looked like. So, the blade of the paddle is going into the water, and we are pushing all the way to the front, like so. So reaching behind us and pushing that water all the way to the front. So let's have a look at the catch phase. Reaching behind us, blade of the water, blade in the water, power phase all the way to the front, and then we're going to retrieve by turning the blade horizontal again, reaching behind us. If done correctly, this will turn the front of the boat to the left. So as we've examined the forward and the reverse stroke, we can see that that is turning the boat to the right or the left side. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I'm going to introduce you to the draw stroke. The draw stroke involves having your top hand firmly on the T grip, bottom hand in a wide grip, with bottom hand close to the throat of the blade of the paddle. When we're in our catch phase, we are going to reach straight out from our hip. So if we imagine there's a nice straight line, reaching straight out with our bottom hand, you can see the shaft of the paddle is almost in a vertical position with a slight angle. Just push us off there just to give us a bit of space. Now, in order to do the draw stroke, as I was saying, we reach straight out from our hip. Our hand, our top hand, is directly in front of our head, essentially, and our bottom hand reaches as far out as we can stretch. We then enter the blade of the paddle into the water, we submerge it, and we bring the blade of the paddle into our hip. So in that sense, we are drawing the canoe in the direction that our paddle has been placed. So if I place my paddle out there and I bring it into my hip, the canoe will go in that direction. If I so choose to reach forward, like so, and once again bring the blade in, the canoe will be drawn to that position. Same if I reach behind me and I bring the blade into my hip, the canoe will then be drawn in that position. So once again, I'll show you how to do the draw stroke. Our catch phase. Bottom hand nice and straight out from our hip, blade of the paddle goes in the water, we draw it into our hip, and then the pitch of the paddle gets turned in order to create no resistance, and then once again bringing it in. So just like so, bringing our canoe in that way. Thank you very much. Another member of stroke in the draw stroke family is called the sculling draw. Now the sculling draw is essentially very similar to the draw stroke, although there is a variation in the way in which we move the blade of the paddle. So just in the same way as we would reach out our bottom hand away from our hip as we were doing for our draw stroke, we're going to do very much the same thing for our sculling draw. The motion in which we're going to use is we're going to use a figure 8 motion. So we are going to bring the paddle back and forth, tweaking with our wrist. Our top hand and our bottom hand are moving in unison in order to twist the blade like so, whilst going in a figure 8 motion. So in our catch phase, we are reaching our bottom hand out, and then we reach back and forward, feathering the paddle whilst we rotate. Please observe how I'm doing this. So once again, I will just paddle us forward just to give you another demonstration. Hand firmly on the T-grip, bottom hand is located towards the throat of the blade of the paddle. We're going to extend our bottom hand out nice and straight. Then we are going to bring the blade of the paddle in a figure 8 motion beside the gunnel. We are bringing it back and forth like so, as I was saying, twisting the top hand and twisting the bottom hand at the same time. You can see the shaft is nice and vertical with my hand in front of my head. Thank you very much. That's the sculling draw. The final of our 6 fundamental canoe strokes is called the prize stroke. Top hand, firm grip on the T-grip. Bottom hand is holding in a wide grip, but interestingly, the bottom hand will also utilize the gunnel of the canoe. So let me just paddle forward so we don't wash into there. So let's examine what's happening with our bottom hand. I am going to use 2 fingers to grip onto the gunnel, and my thumb is also going to be on the gunnel as well. In this sense, nice vertical shaft and strong grip on the T-grip. Then you are going to push the blade of the paddle away from your hip. Feather it back in, pushing away, feathering it back in, pushing away. So what this looks like in fast motion is a motion like this. Pushing away, pushing the water away, pushing away from you. You can see the shaft is nice and vertical, and my hand is essentially in line with my head, and I'm pushing that water away from me. Okay? Whilst having my hand, 2 fingers and thumb gripped onto the gunnel, like so, pushing away, feathering back in, pushing away. So let's have a look at the catch phase. The catch phase starts beside the boat next to the gunnel, and then our power phase is pushing away with the blade of the face of the paddle facing away from us, and then bringing it back into us again in our retrieving phase. So just examining what I'm doing there, you can see what's happening with my top hand. I'm actually doing a rotation like so. So I'm just bringing it almost in a circle as I push away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the prize stroke. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam Cook. See you later.